wanna embrace uncertainty, dismiss anxiety.
Yeah, you're in tune, or should I say you're in the view of the brand new show, otherwise known as the Red Bus Sessions, from All Bangers No Mash, in the place to be where it's at, Aaja, the Snake Pit. We're right here on the Red Bus, and I'm here with my man Airklipz, long time legend in the game as far as I'm concerned, amazing rapper, also used to be a producer, probably still does produce stuff to this day, I'm sure of it. Yeah, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing, man?
Yeah, all
nice
good.
to meet you, man.
Bless.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Brilliant. You're fucking. What have you been up to recently?
Just put out the track with Silver.
Yeah.
The Blink single just came out yesterday, 5 o'clock. Really loving that track, to be honest. Recorded that 2 years ago, something like that. Yeah. And since we recorded it, I've been literally listening to it every if not every day, every other day. It's one of my literally favorite tracks I've made. It's overall one of my one of the literally favorite tracks I've been involved in, and yeah, I can honestly say it was a pleasure to be involved with that one. And yeah, it's out on all streaming platforms tomorrow. It's out on YouTube already, so go check it out on YouTube, and then yeah, it's on all streaming platforms as well.
That's brilliant, man. I mean, I heard it, I loved it, because it's kind of ominous in the style of beat. We interviewed Creature Grooves earlier, the creator of the beat. Crazy style, and like the delivery as well, like the difference in styles and approaches. I loved your halftime format against his sort of like double time sort of. And by the way, when I say he, I mean Sylvester Grey. Well, used to be Sylvester Grey, Silver Grey now. But crazy double time flow, but like picking the pockets and picking them in the right places. Like, where would your inspiration? Where would you say your inspiration came from the track when you was sitting down and trying to write to it?
In all honesty, my inspiration was from Silver Grey's verse, because I heard his verse and his chorus, and it
Jack, by the way, sorry, because our microphone is tossed.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I heard his verse and his chorus, and it just literally, I just followed up from that. I listened to the track I think 2-3 times. I heard it once out of the studio, and then I heard it in the studio once, and then I started writing as soon as like his chorus ended. I just like picked up from that. I could say already the body of the track was already fully formed at the time when I got it, and I just kind of vibed straight off the energy that was already on there. It was very good energy.
Yeah. I mean, what was? I know this is a bit of a wayward question, so yeah, I don't fully expect you to know it. But could you kind of roughly remember what the back end of what Sylv was saying, or what the overall message was in the track? Because I know I heard it, and there's a push and pull with a lot of different things and aspects, and
for me, what I gained was it was kind of like a kind of life insight kind of track, almost like a mental journey through life, but from an introspective perspective, which was like very me. It really resonated with me, because it's kind of how I think a lot, and so it was kind of what I got from it, with the title being Blink. Initially, when I saw that, my mind kind of just connected with everything could be over in the blink of an eye, so try and condense everything into the smallest form it could be. And from his verse, I kind of got, because he was talking about RIP to his old man, like there was so much personality in it that I tried to come with the same vibe, but just I tried to just give it from my sense of maybe morality. Was what I tried to give, instead of maybe being more personal. I was maybe more about my personal morality than my actual personal experience, if you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I do.
Just to offset, because to make the track balance.
I've heard the track like probably about 17 times, if I'm being I listen to it quite a lot actually, but like the style, the choppy vibe, and just the continual flow pattern, but the tone is like so good, so everything you say carries brilliant. the concept itself like tied really well together. I like the contrast between the choppy flow, between the halftime flow, but it's not really halftime at the same time. It's still on the same like sort of time signature, but you somehow like sort of just half it down, but like double it up in certain places. It's really interesting because I've always liked that being a drummer myself. But I mean, getting onto like, say for example, what you were doing previously, like with Vape Life 5 and that the Vape Life catalogue really is. I mean, you've kind of like
it's been a while.
built several different types of sounds though. Like every time like I hear Vape Life, there's always one solid concept but an entirely different sound. Where do you think your last Vape Life 5 album, or where did your inspiration take you with that?
Well, the last Vape Life album we did, because I do Vape Life with my very good friend Edward Splifferhands, and he lives out in the country in Essex. So for the last Vape Life, I drove up there because I live in a van. I'm a van life guy. So I drove my van up there, camped out there for a week, and we just went at it. We just, we got sent all the beats. All the producers sent us the beats, and we just went into. He's got a little cabin, and we just literally hibernated in this cabin till we recorded all. I think it's about 11 tracks. I think 9 tracks made the album, but it was 11 tracks that we recorded in a week. And we made sure every day we did a track and a half. Every day, track and a half. And we were very we wanted to differentiate it from Vape Life 4. That was our whole concept, was just a different sound from Vape Life 4. Vape Life 4 is very electronic, very I'd say maybe club heavy, and so we kind of wanted to move away from that, and so instead we went more with maybe more sample sound. We worked more with producer Uno.
Oh right, yeah.
And he was like heavily on Vape Life 5, which was amazing. It took the sound in a totally different, more sample heavy direction, which I really loved.
Oh, very, very talented hip hop producer, very talented. Love his work. I remember you were dealing with some stuff. Like, what was it? You were dealing with stuff with Sleepy Time Ghost. Doing some co-production.
Worked with Sleepy Time Ghost for years. I worked with Sleepy Time Ghost, Jammy Git, Cold Blooded Beats, Ilternal Beats, Marky. He's probably one of my favourite producers ever. And
Ilternal's got some crazy stuff in the banks. Big up all those producers, because all of them have got something.
There's been a lot of stuff from Ilternal on my projects. Other than that, I've been working a lot with Gold on the Mixer recently, and Zatoichi's Ears, Palmer Eldridge. I've been finding their beats like absolutely dope.
Well, Zato goes crazy lengths to find the weirdest, most abstract stuff, and some of it will be melodically pleasing, and other times it will be there to like grind at you. I've learned this. So there was a producer that I worked with recently, 5 Loops, who I'm hopefully going to be finishing an album with fairly soon. But I did a feature for him on his project, and it's Estonian hip hop. But it's crazy because not only the syllable patterns and like how formats work in terms of how your language is, but his style is very much that. He goes with the flow, but he goes with the abstract. Zato is very much a very similar kind of producer, but I don't know where he gets most of his stuff from. That guy digs deep.
He's a sample maniac. Like he samples, like he just finds like a really just like sick part of a track, and then he'll loop it and put the fucking drums on it, and it's just he's a genius. He's like him, Palmer Eldridge, the two I'd say newest producers that I've started working with that have blown my mind, apart from my old staple of producers I've worked with for a long time, like Jammy Git, Cold Blooded Beats, Sleepy Time Ghost. Hope I'm not missing out anyone obvious here, because I'd be really pissed about that. I probably am if I'm thinking. Well, it'll come to me.
One of my favourite songs of yours it's gone out of my head.
First voice.
The actual, yeah, it is his first voice.
I know.
No,
You've told me several times.
yeah. I will continue to tell you that because it's a really good body of work. The lyrics were so well thought through, and I'm being selfish here by questioning him like this. but where did the inspiration come from now?
Well, first voice. So the beat was sent to me by DJ Trickster, the original beat for first voice, and when he sent me the track, this is weird. I genuinely just wanted to make a different track to anything that was out there. That was all I remember getting the beat, listening to it, and it had a very jazzy, very, I'd say, laid back flow. And I heard it, and initially I thought, oh yeah, I could just do what I usually do, talk about, getting high, or talk about, and I just thought, no, I needed to give something else. And so where you hear the first line, I came in the world as the first voice, literally just came to me in a moment, and I thought, okay, ride with that. That's the track. Everything from there is built off that sentence. I came in the world as the first voice, like my purpose choice, my flow's crow. You know what I mean? Everything from there was like just literally letting my mind dictate where the track was going to go. And yeah, it's probably the first track I ever wrote like that, and I've written probably like 80% of all my tracks like that since.
Oh, that's brilliant. Because I just gravitated immediately to the bars.
Oh,
I mean, the beat is very rare for me because I'm a musician and I'm producer's ear sometimes. Other times I'll definitely gravitate more towards the lyrics, especially if I feel it drives a beat and a vibe as a whole piece and a concept. And I definitely feel like those verses, they grab me in that way. Yeah. Where it was like, actually the bars come first in this track, it was big. And I love the premise of everything that you were saying, the way you phrased it, the metaphors to lead up to that, and you could tell it came from a place in the soul with that one. That was coming somewhere deep. So I thought that was definitely my favourite. I really enjoyed that one. But I mean, you've always had quite a lot going on for yourself in terms of what you've been doing, album wise, and working with loads of different people. Is there anything that you're doing now or you're building up to?
Yeah, well, I've just recently put all the Parachute Life series of albums. I made 4 Parachute Life albums in 2012, 2013, and I've recently just re-released them on all the streaming platforms, just to have the projects out there. And so that was all on the back of I think about December last year, I kind of took a back step from releasing solo albums. I've released a lot of solo albums. I've got about projects and albums, probably about 13 to 14 projects out there that are already out there. A lot on Bandcamp, some on Spotify, and iTunes and the rest. Loads on YouTube. But what I wanted to do was more focus on features and collaborations and working with artists. And so since then I stepped back and I've taken on a lot of collaboration projects, a lot of collaboration. I'm featured on Duncan Black. He's a producer I know. He's Hypno Kid. He's from Glasgow. I'm featured on every single one of his projects. He's a really good producer, rapper from Glasgow, and I've been working with him. I've been working with Gold on the Mixer. I've got a project. Well, I've got 2 projects on Gold on the Mixer, which are basically finished. They're just in the mixing, mastering phases, with 2 different artists. One an artist called Deke, another an artist called Bad Effects. Probably know both of them. I have another project out with, it's again in the mixing and mastering phase with an artist again called Flabs. I got another project. Wow. I got another project in the works that I'm doing with Eternal Beats. So all these projects are all there or thereabouts. I think it could all get congested very soon, and all the release dates could come on top of each other. which I don't really mind because, like I say, they're all collaboration projects. Also, been recording a lot with an artist from Birmingham called Haz.
Yeah, alright, cool.
Yeah, he's really sick. I really like his stuff. Been working a lot with him recently.
Well, we'll definitely check his stuff out.
Yeah,
100%. Like that's interesting though, because like I've always looked at that with you. Like your work rate speaks for itself. Like the amount of stuff that you've done and the many different pockets of hip hop that you've touched upon, subgenres and stuff like this, whether it was new or old. That was like you kind of like did the new stuff at a certain point with Vape Life 4, and I heard it. It was really prominent, and there was moments of lo-fi.
Yeah.
There was moments of, I'd say, even trap in there, like
100%.
and a lot of like updated breakbeat-esque but techno feel in some of that. Lot of 808 use, and obviously it refers to a certain time. That was the overall concept, right, wasn't it? So and that's what I appreciated about that. And then with Vape Life 5, it felt like you kind of like chilled out a little bit and stepped back. It was like, actually, I just don't want to do what I enjoy doing. Like, tell me where that came from.
Well, so the Vape Life series evolved really organically. The first Vape Life was just another project to me. It was just, at the time I think I just released Single Speed. And so I just had a bunch of tracks which didn't fit into Single Speed, which is just random. So I thought they were too good to just go to waste. And so I compiled them and then made this album. And I remember the producer I was working with at the time, Session 600, he didn't even know I was like doing it because most of the tracks were his. And I just thought to myself, I want to release this as an album, call it Vape Life, and say, I'm not even going to tell anyone it was coming out. That was the whole thing of Vape Life. I didn't tell anyone it was coming out. It was all a surprise. It just dropped. And on it was the first time I worked with my friend Edward Splifferhands, where we decided to now make Vape Life a partnership album from Vape Life 2 onwards. So Vape Life 2 was basically me and Edward Splifferhands figuring out how the sound would work. Vape Life 3 was when I'd say we fine-tuned it and we had kind of like we knew what we were doing. And then Vape Life 4 was kind of, I'd say, the peak of experimentation, where we were kind of at a point of we knew what we were good at and we knew where we could push things, to the extremes. Vape Life 5 came from a place of, okay, let's just chill out a bit now. Like you say, it sounds like it, and it was like it. It was kind of like, because like I say, we recorded it all in a week. So the thinking we more had was like, let's keep it more organic and more original hip hop sounding. That was always our idea, was like, let it be more rap, more hip hop, more like, yeah.
Do you feel like you did that back to front?
We kind of did,
It's funny, isn't it? 'Cause a lot of people like do like, what was it? They start with the old school and then work their way out.
Yeah.
You just kind of like heard all the old school, already kind of had it in the bank and went, do you know what, I'll start with the new.
Yeah. Let's reinvent the wheel, let's try it. But yeah, we tried to reinvent the wheel, found out that the old wheel still worked, and then made something around the old wheel, that's how anything works, I think.
I totally agree, man. And that's the sign of progression as well. I mean, everything that you do that builds up to that moment where you kind of like collective knowledge. You realise what you picked up of other people as well as your journey itself. And like I always found that interesting with the way that you rap. You have a tone and a delivery that comes across mad insightful. I watched you live at Chip Shop, and for those that don't know, the early days of All Bangers No Match back on Itch FM, he was on it, like when we was like first beginning, like me and Silver were literally just brand new getting on the show, and that was wild. That was just crazy freestyles.
I remember.
Yeah, but big up my man Edward Splifferhands as well.
He came down as well. Yeah,
that's right, and he's got some interesting projects too. I've listened through to his stuff, absolute bangers. But me and you are from Woolwich, really. How would you describe your experience to your surroundings of where you grew up, in conjunction to what it is you put of that into your music?
Well, yeah, for a very large part, most of my solo projects are very Woolwich and South East London based. I'd say like most of the scenes I'm describing come from South East London. Most of the pictures I'm painting are about Southeast London, and yeah, it's defined me. It's more than that. I've spent over 10 years like roaming these streets. I've spent over 20 years being around here. You know, I've spent so much time in this area that I can't overstate just how important Woolwich, and not just Woolwich, Deptford, all of Southeast has been to my music. It's been everything to it.
Well, I mean, I know that I feel exactly the same way. And most people do. Some people don't. But most people do. You know, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of better the devil you know. Yeah. And actually, there's some good people. So I mean, like, despite the reputation, and it is a bit odd, particularly when you're looking at like early '90s backwards. That was a strange era for that area.
Yeah, it was rough. It's still kind of rough, but yeah, it's not as rough as it used to be. Like, it used to be really, like, there used to be a kind of calm that used to get in there, but it was genuinely the calm before the storm, wasn't it? Really, that you got from Woolwich.
Definitely. Before we was rudely interrupted by the memory running out on the camera, the goddamn camera, we was talking about Woolwich.
We was talking about Woolwich,
yeah. And before you even go there, I know a lot of people are sitting thinking, why are you talking about Woolwich? Because that's where we grew up. And obviously a lot of what we dealt with on those kind of streets and those kind of areas, particularly when we were growing up. Different era now, thankfully, things are moving in the right direction, but even still, we don't want to lose the people that we grew up around and everything about that. Gentrification's a big question. Has any of that come into any of your music?
Yeah, it has. It actually has. I've made several tunes about what's happening in the Southeast and how basically, you know, the poor people are getting run out of the area. I made so many tunes, too many to actually mention, to be honest. But it just goes to be honest, it just goes to show you just how important these areas are, because there's so many musicians that have come out of this area. Like, I know you, I know Silver, I know so many, like, there's too many to name the amount of musicians that have come out of this area, and it comes from that quality of life maybe that does tend to, you know, maybe inspire creativity. And so I think Woolwich needs to stay for long term, you know, like, without being poisoned by too much change. Change is necessary, but not too much change where you don't recognise the area anymore. I don't think that's a good thing.
I think it's just about, personally for me anyway, that, like, you know, these people that pay higher rate tax and all that kind of stuff to live in what is essentially a shithole for many years before anybody could be bothered to clean it up or even try. So once you've made them live in that, contribute to that area, surely the reward should be that you get to upgrade your life, in which you get to upgrade your social surroundings, in which you see some progression in community, but there is none. Because as soon as there's any financial worth attached to any area, that's it, it's up for sale now, it's up for grabs. So that's what we're witnessing.
You see what's happening in Woolwich now with the Woolwich Arsenal, right? It's just like, you know, a bunch of rich people move in, you know, and then they just chase the poor people out. You know? So off to Thamesmead, off to Erith, off to Belvedere, you know, like.
People were getting moved to Dagenham.
Oh yeah.
Getting moved to Dagenham. You live in London, you're getting moved to Dagenham. That's a crazy thought.
Like I say, that's how most of the Southeast has been. It's been, you know, especially for hip hop, it's been very bad. It's been very hard for the scene to stay as one with everything that's been happening. But we've kept it going, and I think we still will keep it going.
Yeah, Southeast is still definitely represented massively. It always has done, from the grand days, right? Yeah. Right now to like your kind of new era revival hip hop era, you know, because that's what we're looking at really, particularly for the UK. Because like, how many references did we have like really during the 80s and the early 90s? I mean, unless it was London Posse or like Kailash, you know, stuff like this. There wasn't really that much floating around. Obviously, Chesterfield Task Force. And that, you know, there's that pocket.
Of that little element of hip hop that kind of grew into what we have now.
Absolutely. Well, where do you see yourself like in the next like year or so? Have you got plans? Have you got things for us? Obviously, you've got like upcoming projects. You spoke about that earlier.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? What's going to be your next release?
Well, to be honest, I've got a project on the way, which Blink, the track with Creature Brews and Silver Grey, is going to be on, which is just going to be a compilation of my favourite features. Now, I'm working on that now. It's about maybe 15 or 18 tracks deep. I'm trying to just, whittle it down to about, I think I want 15. Once I get there, I'm going to put it out. Haven't decided on a name yet, but then basically the first single's already out with Blink being out, so that's definitely in the works. And apart from that, I've got all these other projects that are coming out. Most of them I haven't even named yet, and they're all gonna need to be promoted. They're all gonna need to, tour in. They're gonna need. So basically, as soon as they start dropping, I'm gonna be a very busy guy.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm just taking it as the calm before the storm. But yeah, that's coming soon.
The opportunity to prepare, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know I can't wait to hear all of those projects. Really, really looking forward to it. And I let people know your socials. Tell them where to
Oh
find
yeah,
you.
it's AIRKLIPZ. Just Google that on everything. It's the same on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, and just holler at me.
Big up my man Airklipz. Thank you very much for coming in. Nice to see you as always. Big up, big up. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been the Rep Bus session with all bangers, no mash. You know where to find us. AajaMusic.com.
Not
Peace.
trying to give it a chance. All I wanna do is just sway to the rhythm or dance. Sway to the rhythm or dance.